38-year-old waste management operator, Militia Montano, is suing her ex-boyfriend, 35-year-old correction officer, Saul Martinez, for an unpaid loan to pay his mortgage. Saul is countersuing for the return of a bike and personal items.
Order. All rise.
Now, this is case number 400 on the calendar in the matter of Montano versus Martinez. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ms. Montano, you and the defendant were in a sort of an on-again, off-again relationship. According to your complaint, the defendant ran into some financial difficulty surrounding his mortgage payment on a house that he had purchased. He asked you for a loan. You gave him a loan. Shortly thereafter, your relationship terminated. You want him to pay you back for that specific loan and for some other credit card charges that he made. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant acknowledges that you took out a loan from which he made a mortgage payment and paid some other bills, was far less than you're suing him for. Says that he repaid you some of the money, $500, and he has a counterclaim for property that he said that you are withholding from him that is worth several $1,000s. Is that what this is about?
Yes.
Okay. Were you living together in his house at the time that you took out this loan?
No, Your Honor, we were at my house in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
But you had purchased a house?
Yes. I was working in Albuquerque, so it was very convenient for me to be with her at her house for the community.
But you had purchased a house when?
December of '99.
How much money did you advance him for the mortgage payments?
The loan, Your Honor, was for $4,456.
$4,456. Now listen to me carefully. Did you give him all of that money, or did you use some of that money to pay some of your own bills?
I used $300 of it to pay like the electric bill and the water bill. $300 of it was mine. The rest of it was Saul's.
Did you give it to him in a check?
It was cash. I have documentation of as the whole pack. This is the loan, 650. That's with interest and everything. And the only reason I agreed to borrow that loan, Your Honor, is because he promised and he swore that he would pay every single payment. I borrowed it on August the 8th of 2000, and September the 9th of 2000, he was gone, packed up and left my trailer home exactly 30 days to the date.
How many house payments was he behind?
A couple.
No, it was only one, Your Honor. It wasn't behind. I was going to be late because of the fact that my pay period landed past the due date.
Well, bill collectors were already calling my home, Your Honor, so. And the reason it's for $4,000 is because, well, my loan, this is my friend. She's a loan officer that loaned the money to me at Beneficial Financial.
Yes.
And that's with interest and everything, and he knew that interest was going to be piled up on top of that loan, and it didn't matter to him. He said, whatever it takes, I will pay it back.
Who's the loan officer at the bank? Step up, please. Tell me your name.
Lisa Polk.
And you are a friend of the plaintiffs?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the two of them come in together?
No, ma'am. The transaction was initiated by Militia calling me and telling me that her boyfriend had seen her mail and that we had sent out a flyer to her approving her for a loan, and she wanted to go ahead and carry through with that loan because he needed help. On that document that you're looking at, you can see that we have Saul Martinez underneath her name, and then I also highlighted the area where it says roommate and boyfriend. We tried to run the loan on his credit. It didn't go through, so we just used his income to bump up her annual income so that she could apply for more money for him.
Your Honor, he also used some of that money to purchase school clothes for his son.
I paid, those are the $500 she cannot remember that I
did not pay me back, no $500, Your Honor. As a matter of fact, it says, there's a letter that he wrote, that I wrote to him, trying to see if we could work things out in an honorable way so that I could get on with my life, because he has been, the whole year and a half that we were together, he was unfaithful.
I don't care about his being unfaithful. That's your problem.
Well, it says
I also
over here
have a
where it
copy
says,
of the letter that she wrote.
Yeah,
she wrote me also.
I have the same letter.
Can I see it, please?
Of the amount of money she's asking for.
Can I see it, please? I don't want to see it.
And it is nowhere totals up to $4,000.
Your Honor.
Just a minute. You wrote him this letter. And you say in this letter, I borrowed $2,000 plus $1,700 was for the house payment and school clothes. The rest I used for my bills. Now, a reading of that statement, Ms. Montano, is that he borrowed $1,700 and the rest, the $2,000, you used for your own bills.
No, ma'am, I did not use.
Well, I want you to read it, look at it very carefully.
I did not use $2,000 for my own bills.
And
That's
so-
what happens when you don't have a note, madam.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you don't have a note, when you don't have some agreement in writing.
Your Honor, I was the loan officer, and I can vouch that she did come in and ask for this money for her boyfriend.
I
That's
did.
why her
That's-
boyfriend was on it.
Just
We
a
also-
second. Was he there?
No, he sent me.
Shh, just a
I
second.
was working.
He wasn't there.
No, ma'am.
He wasn't there. So she may have said she needed it, and she got more money because of his salary. That was your problem, because you're the loan officer. I wouldn't take that information when somebody else wasn't there.
Also, my mortgage payment, Your Honor, is $1,096. It's not $1,700. The money that I gave her back for the school clothes was out of a check. The $1,700.
Show me.
No, I don't have no receipts for the clothes, Your Honor. I don't have any receipts for the clothes. I don't.
Not for the clothes. Show me where you gave her $500.
Oh, I don't. I don't have any proof of that. We were still in very good terms at the time, and it really didn't seem like anything had to be put on paper because.
That's a problem, folks.
Yes, I understand.
And, Your Honor, we also have police reports where not only is this a case about the loan, but the credit card that she was offered when she got the loan, she also took out, and he took that credit card and charged up that credit
$500
card.
No,
of it.
I did not charge anything on that credit card.
Just a second.
We also
Just a second. Do you have the bills?
yes,
those credit card bills?
Yes, I have documentation,
Let
and we
me
also
just,
have a.
Shh, just a second. Show me what was purchased on the credit card.
Cowboy boots for Saul.
She
Levi's for Saul.
She purchased those for me before we
Because
went to a
he-
biker run in Ignacio, Colorado,
Let me just
on
see
her
it,
own
please.
free will. That was not charged on mine because I don't have a credit card. She had a
No,
credit
it was on my name because the loan officer
didn't
lent
know.
me,
But she
lent
bought
me
them
the
herself.
money
Miss Montana?
She bought them herself out of her own free will.
for him. I don't
Could
think
you
my
be quiet?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to hear anybody till I look at the documents.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe the credit card bill is also on the back of the documentation that you have.
Albertsons, which is a food store.
Right, because I had to buy groceries on a credit card because of it.
Please,
You
listen
know?
to me. No. Shell, I assume that's for gas for a
For him?
car.
No.
Yes, it was. So we put it
You
on the
don't get
credit
paid
card.
for that, madam. You don't get paid for that.
He charged it.
He charged it.
Now you can sit down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I never physically touched that credit card. Every time she used it, it was willingly with her permission.
Just a second.
ma'am.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes,
I'm not
ma'am.
saying you're a doll, believe me. And I'm saying that in all probability, you probably took advantage of her a little bit financially.
No, ma'am.
Don't disagree with me. It's a very stupid thing to do.
Okay, I agree.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Militia Montano says ex-boyfriend Saul Martinez asked her to take out a loan so he could pay back his mortgage. She claims he's never paid back the money.
So you took advantage of her financially. Sometimes that happens in a relationship. You don't get paid for being foolish. You don't get paid for food. No court, Miss Montano, is going to go through your bills from a time when you were living together and saying $11.63 for gas, $126 at Albertson Food Store, $6.12 for oil and gas in the car. There is no court that's going to do that. Understand me. That's not going to happen. I've said it 1,000 times. It's too bad you haven't heard it. If you loan somebody money, you get it in writing. This is a loan. This is what you owe me. Sign it. Now, the problem is the only writing that I have with regard to this loan that you made for him is a loan for $1,700. I borrowed $2,000 plus $1,700 was for the house payment and school clothes. Those are your words. So I have to make a judgment based upon the evidence that I get. So I find that he actually owes you that $1,700 that was September of 2000. Now, how much have you paid towards that, sir?
Your Honor, I had made agreements to pay her. When she wrote me that letter, I didn't respond to it right away
Why not?
because I was working.
What do you mean? What difference does that make?
I responded to her house when I went over there to get my stuff, because if you continue to read the letter, she says she wants to give me back my stuff. When I went to get it, she said, F you, leave. Okay, so I left. And what I understand now, she works with my brother, is that she sold my stuff. Because
What
she
stuff?
which is a bicycle, a lot of other stuff. The main thing is my bicycle.
Okay. What kind of bicycle was it?
It's a KHS, it's a mountain bike.
Do you have his mountain bike?
I sold his mountain bike, Your Honor, and I have a bill of sale, an estimate, and photographs of it. I sold it actually for the September payment of beneficial for $220. I was broke. I didn't know what else to do.
Show me a bill of sale.
There you go.
I also have receipts of my bike when I bought it.
Let me see. Let me see.
The value of it, I went back
Let
to
me
the store
just-
when I bought it. There's also a receipt in there for a rug that she kept of mine also.
Just a second. How much of this loan did you in fact pay her back? Nothing, is that right?
No, she
Zero.
refused to give me my
Zero.
stuff back.
Okay.
I had made arrangements to pay her, Your Honor.
What was
and
the
she didn't.
date of the loan that you took out? When did you take out
August
the
the
loan?
8th of 2000. 30 days to the date, so it was gone.
Okay.
With toilet paper, actually, Your Honor, from my home. Toilet paper, toothpaste, everything.
Listen to me.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
That's your problem.
I know.
You not only took them back once, you took them back several times,
Yes, I
according
did.
to you. So, I need some calculations from you. What would be the interest on $1,700 for 4 months?
Oh my God, I don't have a.
Approximately. You want a calculator?
I need a business calculator.
I also had to take in a roommate so he could help me. I know that's my problem again, but
It is your problem. How much is it?
Approximately about $2,300
For 4 months?
for 4 months.
$2,300 less $220, which she got for the bike, is $2,080.
It was not worth $200. She must have been
I
very
have
desperate
no
to sell
idea
it.
what it was worth. That's what she
course
sold
I
it
was.
for. She sold it when you didn't give her money for the payment that you were supposed to give her.
When I went to get my stuff back, like she requested for me, that she said she wanted to give my... Everything was good till then.
Did you sell the bike before or after he came over that day?
way before.
So the bike you didn't have?
I didn't have the bike.
Okay. Did you tell him you didn't have the bike?
No.
Exactly.
No, no, no.
Yes, I did.
No, you did
When
not.
did... Hey,
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
what do you understand?
To be quiet.
Now, what other property, sir, does she have that's yours, that you want
I
back?
don't-
Because that's your counterclaim.
Oh, on my counterclaim, it's just my rug, which you have a receipt up there.
You have his rug?
You have pictures of it. Yes, I do.
You have his rug?
Yes, I don't want
Okay,
it.
that you're going to return. to
Yes,
him.
I will.
And
Gladly.
other little stuff like the
I'm
little
not
TVs.
interested in other little stuff.
Okay,
I'm interested in big stuff. I have
That's
no
it.
time for little stuff.
that's it.
Good. Okay. This is what you owe her, sir, so that she's not going to have to wait for your payment every month. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,080. That's all.
Parties are excused.
Get your rug back within 5 days. That takes care of your counterclaim.
What amazes me the most is her ability and how convenient it is for her to forget all the times I paid for her divorce, when I paid for her trailer and her trailer space and all utilities when I first met her prior to me buying her house. That was all conveniently forgotten.
Saul Martinez is just, he's an idiot, cleverly disguised as a man. And I was victimized. I was in love, and I was victimized.
And now the next case.
All parties on Howard versus Johnson. Step forward, please.
32-year-old grocery stocker Joseph Howard is suing ex-girlfriend, 27-year-old homemaker Elisha Johnson for the return of 10 years of child support payments. Joseph says DNA test proved he's not the father of her son.
Mr. Howard, did you know that for many, many years I was a sitting judge in the family court in New York?
No, ma'am.
Well, I was. And in the family court in New York, one of the kinds of cases we heard were paternity cases. You
Yes,
know what
ma'am.
paternity cases are, right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you also know that during that time, Officer Byrd was my court officer, along with court officer of several other judges, but my favorite. And he listened very carefully to what was going on.
Okay.
He was really interested. So I'm going to tell you,
Okay.
and at the same time, Officer Byrd is going to listen
Okay.
to the facts of this case.
Okay.
And you may get your answer from me, or you may get your answer from Officer Byrd.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
He's a pretty smart guy.
Okay.
Been around the block.
All right.
In 1989, you and the defendant had a brief relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to your complaint, sometime in 1989, the defendant told you that she was pregnant with your
Yes.
child.
Yes, ma'am.
And your complaint is that from 1989 to 2000,
Yes, ma'am.
you labored under the impression that you were the father of this child.
Yes, ma'am.
And while you never went to court
Yes,
to
ma'am.
be legally declared the father, never went to court to establish your paternity, pay a regular support order for the child, you did, in fact, during that time, buy occasional clothes and diapers and other things for the child.
Yes.
You have married now.
Yes.
You want to have this matter finally resolved, so she files for support?
No, the state filed.
State filed on your behalf for support for the child. You went and took the DNA test, and the DNA test came back that you were not the child's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
So you are suing her for $5,000
Yes, ma'am.
for the assorted clothes and stuff that you may have bought during the 11 years and for a lot of mental anguish.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it.
What do you think?
I don't think he's got a real chance here.
When the defendant told you in 1989 that she was pregnant, why didn't you go to court?
I just didn't go. I just feel like, hey, I just take care of my responsibility. I didn't have no reason to go to court.
Well, your answer says, sir, that you doubted at that time that you were the father of this child.
Yes. Because it was just like a one-time deal, and she come tell me, okay, you pregnant. I mean, I'm pregnant.
So then, Mr. Howard, if you had some doubts as to what your responsibilities were, then you go to court.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Go to court, you file a paternity proceeding. You say, I want to be declared the father of this child. I want to take blood tests. If I'm the father of this child, I want to pay support. I want a regular schedule of visitation, which you complain about that you didn't have here, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But you didn't do that.
No.
So what do you want me to do?
I mean, for 10 years, she just told me, just led me on for 10 years.
Mr. Howard. Mr. Howard, it's not as if you didn't have sex with the defendant.
No, I'm not denying that.
So it is possible that you were the father, right?
Yeah, it's possible.
So.
But she told me unequivocally, without a doubt, I was the only one. So
well,
therefore,
Mr. Howard, she told you unequivocally you were the only one. You didn't live together. It was a one-time deal, according to you. So then you'd be smart.
Okay.
But then you don't come to a court and say, now you have to fix up the last 11 years because I've been through all this mental anguish when you could have taken care of it 11 years ago.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Case is dismissed.
Thank you, Lord.
Right, Bertie?
Thank you, dear Lord.
45-year-old tour manager Mark Gilbert is suing his former landlord, 80-year-old Lillian von Lossberg, for destroying his property after she evicted him.
Order. All rise.
Yes, case number 412 on the calendar in the matter of Gilbert versus von Lossberg. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Gilbert, you were a tenant of the defendants for approximately a year and a half. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Did you have a lease?
I believe it was a month-to-month lease, yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
You did not have a long-term lease. You were there month to month.
That's correct.
Your claim is that the defendant evicted you,
That's correct.
and in addition to evicting you, she destroyed some of your property, and she kept some of your security deposit. You also want her to pay for storage of your stuff, moving costs. So let's start with this. You did not have a lease.
That's correct.
You claim she evicted you.
Yes, ma'am.
She says that you voluntarily left. Let's get to that.
Item A that I have in evidence is a 30-day notice to quit that was taped to my door the day August 2nd, which is the day that most of this occurred.
You want to tell me briefly what happened that day?
I enjoy very much working in my yard. On this morning, I had finished the night before just coming home after 3 months of work. I'm home for only 7 or 8 days, and I'm gone another 3 months. Did the gardening, and a stranger walked into the front yard. I picked up my hose that was watering some plants, and I asked him what he was doing. I went outside. I was inside when I asked him this. I went outside and asked him what he was doing, and was told to my face that he was my new gardener and that he was Mrs. Vaughn's nephew. And I explained that I'd done most of the yard work and that all he really needed to do today was cut the yard. He turned around and ran next door, immediately followed by Mrs. Vaughn and a good number of her other family members, and I explained that these plants were mine and I could do with as I wish. She immediately turned around and took one of the plants and stripped it right down to its bare stalks. That picture I have here, this is a former palm tree that Mrs. Vaughn at the time took and stripped of its branches. At that point, I was so angry, Your Honor, the only thing that I could think to do was to go inside the house and call the police, and that's what I did.
Was that the first time you had disputes with the defendant?
No, actually, Your Honor, I ordered Media One to install the cable service and a phone service and combine them with a DSL line into my house here. And immediately the next day, Mrs. Vaughn informed me that she did not like Media One as a company and did not approve of them coming to install this on her house without my obtaining her permission.
Mr. Gilbert, let me stop you for a moment, please, sir. You know what it is to be a month-to-month tenant. Month-to-month tenant means that she can give you this 30-day notice to leave, and she doesn't have to give you any reason.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So you are not entitled to moving costs, storage costs of your stuff, any other damages. You're not entitled to that. Is her house immediately next door to yours?
It was, yes.
Well, where you used to live. It
Yes.
still is. It didn't
Yes.
float away in the
Yes.
rain. It's still there. All right. She doesn't want somebody living next to her who calls the police on her because she destroys a tree. Right? Once, by the way, you put this tree in the ground, this tree does not become yours.
If I pay rent on a property that I maintain until I leave that property, is the property not mine, Your Honor?
No, the property is not yours, sir. The property always is hers. And while it's not nice to do this to a tree, I could understand why this lady didn't want you living next door after the police were called even once, even though you may have felt that you had cause because she stripped the branches of this tree. So she's entitled to evict you, so you're not entitled to those damages. However, you also have a claim, sir, for withholding your security deposit. How much security deposit did she withhold?
She withheld $779.80, Your Honor.
Is that correct, Ms. Vaughn? You admit that you withheld some security deposit, is that right?
I have a hearing problem.
Well, I can't shout any louder.
I'm sorry.
I
heard you say something about a...
Did you withhold security deposit?
He had an $1,100 security deposit. When he moved out, I spent a portion of that to clean the apartment because when he left another person in that house that was sleeping in the living room. When I entered the place after he left, the sink was littered with beer cans, whiskey bottles, and whatever.
Show
and
me
I spent
pictures.
money for cleaning
Show
that.
Show me pictures.
I didn't take a picture, I'm
You
sorry.
got a problem.
But I refunded him $300 and some out of the security deposit.
You have to show me, Miss Vaughn, do you hear me carefully? You have to show me exactly what you spent.
I think I do have the receipts here, Your Honor.
Let me see. You can show it.
He'll have to assist me.
Your Honor, I can maybe save you some time. I have a copy of both the receipt
Let me
and
see.
the
We had the
deposit
receipt.
refund form she sent me.
I have to excuse you, but you're 80 years old.
Your Honor, I claim that receipt to be a company that doesn't exist.
Oh, right there.
That the
Right
handwriting on it matches the form.
Just a second, just a second, just a second.
there. Okay.
Plus the damages on the outside of the house.
What's the name of the company that repaired the doorbell, painted and cleaned, and put in new locks?
I don't know what the name of the company is.
Now, what's the name of the company?
It doesn't have a heading on it. Don't have it on there. Where's my...
Miss Vaughn,
Yes.
either I don't believe that you did all this stuff, or I believe that somebody else did it for you, like a family member. You are not entitled to put in new locks. You're entitled to clean if you show me that the place was filthy. That was $70. You have two different bills here
Yes,
for painting, one for $350 and one for $380. But nowhere does it tell me who did the painting.
Yes, Your Honor. I
Yeah,
understand that.
there's no proof.
That's right.
And you have no pictures to show me of what this place looked like.
No, I didn't think of
Who are you?
I'm her witness, her daughter.
Come on. Do you live with your mother?
No. I live on one side of my mother, and he lived on the other side of
Yes.
my mother. And my daughter lived 2 doors down.
I don't care where everybody lived.
All
Did
right.
you go into the house on the day he left?
Yes.
Did you take pictures of the house on the day he left?
My daughter did. I didn't.
Fine. Where are the pictures?
She has since moved to Pomona, and
That's not my problem. You
we
don't have the pictures.
Before he moved, she told me that she
I don't
has-
care what. Listen to
All
me.
right.
Listen to me.
All right. I was
You
told...
can't tell me what anybody else told
Okay.
you. You can tell
When
me.
we went in-
Pay careful attention. Listen, I want you to start receiving. Did you see anything else? Look at me. Did you see?
Yes.
What else did you see?
He had put up some shelves in the utility porch in the back.
Yes.
That weren't there before he rented.
Yes.
And instead of washing the walls or to make things right, he either spot painted or spot cleaned, because when you look down the angle of the wall, you could see splotches where he had either spot painted or spot cleaned.
Sounds to me as if he was a very good tenant.
And
listen to me. You want to bring paid bills from somebody that's reputable, that puts their name on a receipt. You can do that. This is nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Can I say something?
Sure.
When I was served with a subpoena to appear in court, I did not, he said he was suing me for $3,000 with absolutely no reason of what his intentions were of collecting this money. I could have gotten the company, the man that did the work, that come in today had I known how to defend myself. But I had absolutely no idea of what this man is suing me for.
Okay. He was suing you for $3,000. Initially, he's not going to get $3,000, and I told him that. But he is going to get his security deposit back.
No, he got it all back.
No, he didn't, and he's going to get it back because there is no basis for you to withhold the vast majority of his security deposit.
Can I show these to the court as part of the damages?
Let me see. I asked you if you had pictures. You said no. What are you showing me?
That's what he ordered Media One without my permission, and he drilled holes in the floor, the side of the wall, and the building as it stands today needs to be painted and repaired.
Oh, goodness gracious me, madam. Looks to me as if he maintained your house in
And I have the name.
Quiet and listen. It looks to me as if he maintained your home in pristine condition. Anybody that maintains the outside of this house the way he did not maintain the inside like a pig pen. What?
Your Honor, he was running a business outside of a residential home, and that's why I called Media One, and I asked him why he had run all the wires into the house, drilled through the floor, drilled through the walls, as the pictures will indicate.
Show me where you paid to have the holes refilled.
They haven't.
No,
Good.
I'm going to have a lawsuit. I intend to sue him for that. This will follow up.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $779, which is the amount of the security that was withheld from you, sir. She had no right to withhold your money. You are getting your security deposit back. Goodbye.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
As long as he had his way, he was a good tenant. But don't cross him, because then immediately he thought that I was his enemy.
Never live next door to your landlady, ever.
And now the next case.
All parties on Oswego versus Bell. Step forward, please.
38-year-old registered nurse Yvette Oswebu is suing 38-year-old receptionist Lisa Bell for burning her scalp during the process of relaxing her hair.
Miss Oswebu?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, about a year ago, the defendant did a hair procedure on you, and according to you, burned your scalp and your hair fell out.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to what I read in your complaint, this procedure was done in the defendant's kitchen.
In her mother's kitchen.
Why?
That was the place that she advised me to come to have my hair done.
What were you doing to your hair?
She was relaxing, putting a relaxer in my hair.
Your Honor, that was not...
How did you find her?
I met the defendant through her sister. Miss Pete told me that her sister was a licensed beautician, and that she had graduated from beauty school and was looking to build her clientele up.
So you went to her mother's house and she started to put this product on your head.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened when she put the product on your head?
It began to burn.
No, you're...
When she got ready to wash the chemical out, she took me into the kitchen because I told her that it was burning rather badly. But the sink was full of dishes, and so she had to clean the sink out, and she had to get the faucet to work. And she made the comment to her mother, "That's why I don't like to do hair over here, because your faucet is messed up." So my scalp felt like it was on fire. I mean, I was literally standing on one leg saying, "Please hurry."
Do you think it was very smart to go to somebody's house to have your hair relaxed?
Ma'am, in the African American community, sometimes people have shops set up in their home.
Yes, but then it looks like a beauty shop. It doesn't look like a kitchen with dishes in the sink.
Well, she had the chemical on my hair by that time when I realized that she was going to have to go into the kitchen.
Okay, what happened to your hair after this process was done?
I have pictures for ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
There's a before and after.
Now, this happened a year ago. What took you so long?
I tried contacting Miss Bell on several occasions, and she agreed. She said, "Well, my instructor told me she don't see how you sit in the chair if I was burning you that bad." I said, "Well, if you recall correctly, I told you you were burning me and asked you to wash it out."
So what did you want her to do?
I wanted her to assist in paying for treatment for my hair.
Did you have treatments?
Yes, ma'am.
How much were the treatments?
I had several treatments. This gentleman, my hairstylist here, did my hair.
Afterwards?
Right.
Step up, please. Tell me your name.
Henry Jerome Clay.
Can you describe what you saw when you saw her?
When Miss Oswego came to me, she made an appointment to get a relaxer. But after consulting with her and examining her scalp and everything, I told her there was no way I could do a relaxer.
She wanted another relaxer?
Well, new growth had started growing out, and black women, they mostly want their hair to look good, you know, and she wanted to try and get the situation better. But my suggestion to her was get some treatments first. Start taking care of her scalp, get her scalp back healthy, and then cut all her hair off and start all over again.
So what kind of treatments did you provide for her?
I gave her a deep penetrating conditioner for her scalp and her hair as well. The hair that she previously had on there during the relaxer procedure, it was breaking off because it had burned all the way through the cortex of her hair.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, Miss Bell, I have a couple of questions for you. You ready?
Yes.
At the time that you took care of the plaintiff, were you a licensed beautician?
No, I was not.
So why do you think that you were allowed to work on strangers?
Well, I didn't think that I had right to, but she knew that I was not licensed. She knew that I had just graduated from beautician school.
You were told that she had graduated from beautician school, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But you had not yet passed the licensing exam.
Correct.
Well, a lay person, that means a person who's not in the business, wouldn't know that you had to pass a licensing exam before you could work on somebody. She was told that you had graduate of beautician school and therefore assumed that you could work on her. Now, you're not allowed to work on her, right?
Right.
You must be her sister?
Yes.
I know that you want to tell me something, so I'm going to let you tell me what you want to tell me. Step up here. What? You're Miss P.
Yes, I am. When I met Yvette in graduate school, I had specifically told her that my sister had just graduated from school. She had not passed her, she had not even taken her licensure exam.
You told her that?
Yes, I did.
Did she tell you that?
No, ma'am.
Oh, I don't think so. Sit down. No. You don't say that to somebody. Try my sister. She's graduated from school, but she hasn't even taken her test yet. She's not licensed yet.
Yvette has specifically told me that her niece used to do her hair.
You want to let your sister-in-law, your sister, your mother give you a home perm. That's one thing. I once gave a home perm to my best friend. It's amazing that we're still best friends 50 years later. She could have used a relaxer. But we were only 12, you see, at the time. But you don't work on strangers. Did you ever get your license?
No, I didn't go back to get my license.
Why not?
I took my test, but I did not. I passed my practical, but I
you failed the other part.
Right.
So you failed the test.
The written exam.
You failed the test.
Yes.
You were never licensed.
Yes.
Well, that's why you don't work on somebody. Miss Bell, what kind of work are you doing now, madam?
Oh, I'm a receptionist.
Good. Good. You had no right to work on her. You placed her at risk, and you are responsible for all of the damage that you caused. The plaintiff is suing for $3,000. Is that right?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of the request, $3,000. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
39-year-old homemaker Latricia Bishop is suing 17-year-old Anthony Davis and his mother, Vanita Fletcher. Latricia claims Anthony stole her car and wrecked it.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 379 on the calendar in the matter of Bishop versus Davis Fletcher.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
You're Anthony.
Yeah.
You're his mother.
Yes.
You don't know anything about this other than what your son tells you. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct.
So why don't you have a seat? Miss Bishop,
Yes, ma'am.
where were you working on the 1st of August?
I was working at Edge Graphics.
So you drive to work in the morning and you park your car.
Actually, Your Honor, I worked second shift, so I worked 2 to midnight. When I came out at midnight, my car was gone.
You called the police.
Yes, ma'am.
You reported the car stolen.
Yes, ma'am.
2 days later, you got a call, and your car had been in an accident.
Yes, ma'am.
The car at the time of the accident was being driven by you.
Yes.
You want him to pay for the damage to your car?
Yes, ma'am.
Not really the damage to your car, because the car was sufficiently damaged for your insurance company to total it.
Yes, ma'am.
Which left you a balance due on the car note.
Yes, ma'am.
And in addition, you had to go out and put down a down payment on another car.
Yes, ma'am.
So you are suing the defendant for all of your economic losses as a result of him being in an accident while driving your car without your permission.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. That's what this case is about. Now, Anthony, you recognize that her car was stolen.
Yes.
And according to your answer, you did not steal the car.
Yes. I did not steal the car.
And that you were involved in an accident. It was just that, an accident, so you shouldn't be responsible. Right?
Right.
So, tell me, on what date did you get into this accident?
I don't really know the date. I know it was in August, though.
It was August 3rd.
Okay. So, August 3rd, you were driving her car.
Right.
How did it come about that you were driving her car on August 3rd?
I was telling the guys that I could drive the car.
Just a second. You're jumping ahead of yourself, sir. Let's take it step by step.
Before August 3rd,
yes,
some guys that came to my house, one of my friends told me he had a car. It was his uncle's. So we was riding around in the car.
Before August 3rd?
Right.
Were you riding the car on August 1st?
Right. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Okay. And at that time, you say somebody came to your house and told you that they had a car?
Right.
Who came to your house?
Everett.
And he came into your house?
No, he called my house with his friend Taylor and said his uncle had given him his car.
Everett did?
Right.
Did they come to the house to pick you up?
Yeah, yes.
Just the two of them?
Right.
Did you drive the car on August 1st?
No.
What time did they come to pick you up on August 1st?
About 12 o'clock.
In the afternoon?
Yes.
So you drove the car around 12 o'clock in the afternoon. For how long?
Till about 10 o'clock.
That night?
Yep.
And what happened on August 2nd?
On August 2nd. No, wait, it was August 2nd that they had picked me up because they had a day with the car by themselves. They had picked me up the day after. So it was August 2nd when all this happened.
Okay. So August 2nd, they dropped you off at 10 o'clock at night in your house.
Yes.
And you had not driven the car at all that day.
Right.
And they were driving around.
Right.
What were they doing?
They were driving around, it was like a joyride thing in Everett. He was just picking people up and showing the car off, trying to drive people around to get some gas money so we keep on driving.
Okay. And what about August 3rd? Tell me what happened August 3rd.
On August 3rd, they had picked me up again because we were supposed to do it all again.
Picked you up at what time?
At 12.
In the afternoon?
Right.
Okay. And where were you sitting when they picked you up at 12?
In the back.
But there did come a time when you got into the front.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
When I got in the front, they had just got back from the store. So I said, I know how to drive, let me drive. And so he said, all right, and I got in the car.
They had just gotten back from the store. Just listen to me very carefully, Anthony. They had just gotten back from the store. Does that mean you were at your house when they just came back from the store? Or where were they?
We had all stopped over at Taylor's house to pick up everybody else, because everybody usually lives, they were living like close to Taylor's house.
How'd you start the car?
I turned on after I used the key.
Really?
Yes.
Did you leave your keys in the car?
No, ma'am. They found my hide key.
Where did you leave a hide key?
Underneath the car and between like the muffler and the gas tank.
I used to have one of those.
Found out it was a bad mistake.
Now, you said I can drive this car, right?
Right.
You have a driver's license?
No.
You have a learner's permit?
No.
So you know you're not allowed to drive a car, right?
Right. But everybody else was driving the car.
So what?
So I figured I knew how to drive too.
I'm going to say this one more time. You knew you weren't allowed by law to drive a car, right?
Right.
And you weren't allowed to drive a car because you didn't have a license.
Right.
And you don't have a license because why?
I hadn't applied for one yet.
Right. Now, how long were you driving this car before you got into an accident?
Only about a minute. I went down to the bottom of the street. That's all I was going to do. Go down to the bottom of the street and turn around just to show him I knew how to drive. While that happened, a fight had broken out, and I backed up. And while I was backing up, the guy that I hit got pushed into the car. I didn't hit him, he got pushed. And then that's how the damage got done. But it wasn't for that. The only damage I did is the back of the window got broken out. But I didn't even do it because dude got pushed.
So what you're telling me is that you only caused some of the damage to the car?
No, I didn't cause any. I was just backing the car up and he got pushed into the car. I didn't do it.
There was a lot of damage on this car, Anthony.
That damage,
Answer my question. There was a lot of damage on this car, correct?
just the back window was busted out. That's all I knew about.
Let me see the car.
Your Honor, these pictures are showing what the condition of the car before they stole it, and it also shows the condition after.
This is a very old car.
It's a 92 LeBaron.
Somebody smoking in this car?
When?
When you were in the car, either as a passenger or a driver.
Nobody was smoking in the car when I was driving.
I didn't ask you when you were driving. I said when you were a passenger or a driver.
Yes.
Were they putting their cigarettes out on the car seats?
No.
They weren't?
No.
What were they doing with their cigarettes?
They just threw them out the window. I don't smoke, so I don't really remember any cigarettes.
You wanted to say something, sir. You have anything to add to this so far?
Yes, the part of Mr. Davis here saying that he was backing up the street and he didn't do none of the damage. That's just a lie. And the damage was done when he ran over Mr. Kaiser here.
Is this the person he
This
ran
is the
over?
person that was hit by the car.
Step up, sir. You weren't there, is that right?
No, I was just in the court.
But you were there at this accident.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Kaiser?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened, Mr. Kaiser.
My sister had came out Taylor's house and she was screaming that him and his brother were getting into a fight. I walked into the house and they were in there arguing and whatnot, just going back and forth.
Who was arguing?
Taylor and his brother.
Okay.
And
where was he?
They were going to pick him up.
Okay, go ahead.
And when we was in the house, me and my sister were just standing there laughing and whatnot, and the brother had told Taylor, he said, I hope somebody kick your butt one day. And, you know, I was just playing. I said, I'll do it. And he told me, he said, you want to go outside?
Could you just tell me what happened with the car? I'm really not interested in all this, please.
Well,
it's really not important.
Okay.
Just tell me what happened with the car.
All right. Well, we were smoking weed in the car. Everybody that was in the car. We all were smoking weed, drinking, and whatnot, and everyone was hopping railroad tracks. Just hopping. He had to be doing like 80. And
was he in the car at the time?
Yes, he was. And how the window shield got broken out when me and the dude Taylor were fighting. We wasn't fist fighting because we hadn't thrown no fists yet. He was coming down the street because he was like 200 feet up the street, and he was gunning it because the tires were screeching. As he came down, he stopped in the back of us, and he put it in reverse. When he put it in reverse, he gunned it back. And as he was gunning it back, I had looked at the car, and I looked at Taylor, and when I looked at him, he was pushing me into the car.
Where did you get pushed into the car? Back windshield?
Yes, ma'am.
What about the roof?
That's when I flipped over the car.
So you were pushed in the back windshield and you flipped over?
Yes, ma'am.
And that caused the damage to the top of the car?
That caused the damage to the top, the window, and the backlight.
Your Honor?
Just a minute. Did you ever steal a car?
No, ma'am.
You ever been arrested for stealing a car?
No, we went to court about it, and they found me innocent of possession of the car.
They did?
Yes.
Well, tell me what happened in court.
Well, in court, they had just found me.
No, don't tell me they found you innocent. You were arrested. Is that right?
Right.
You have the police report?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
I have 4.
Can I see all of your documentation? Was Everett arrested?
No.
No. Did you tell the police about Everett right away?
Yes, they asked whose the car was, and I told them it was Everett. They asked Everett whose the car was, and Everett told them it was his too.
I'm going to see if the police officer was good enough to memorialize what he was supposed to have in his police report. You have a copy of your juvenile papers, sir?
No.
All right. Was there a trial?
Yes.
Yes?
Ma'am, his charges were not only receiving stolen property, but he was also charged with possession
of stolen property and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle.
He was also charged with driving without a license and reckless operation were the 2 traffic offenses, along with the receiving stolen property.
Did you testify at the trial?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the result of that hearing?
The case was dismissed due to the fact that at that particular time I couldn't prove that he had stolen the car.
Right. You couldn't prove that he had stolen the car or that he had knowledge that the car was stolen. Those are the 2 things that the court has to find beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
In order to be found guilty criminally for possession of stolen property, you had to know the property was stolen beyond a reasonable doubt. The burden of proof here is quite something else, sir.
I thought I had the permission to drive the car from the owner because I thought the owner was Everett.
You wouldn't drive in a car, I assume, where they were smoking weed, right?
Right.
Where they were gunning over railroad tracks at 80 miles an hour, right?
Right.
Where they were treating this elderly uncle's car with total disrespect. You wouldn't be in a car like that because that might give you, put your hand down, that might give you some inkling that Everett either didn't like his uncle or that the car was stolen, right?
No.
So you think that if he had his uncle's car and that if he used it the way this young man describes, and I believe him because the pictures say that that's true of the inside of the car, that you believe that Everett was treating his uncle's car with respect?
No, he wasn't respecting the car.
Right. Well, that's what I said, sir. So what did you think, Anthony? Did you think that he hated his uncle and wanted to just trash his car? Or did you think that the car was stolen?
I didn't care about his car because he didn't care about it, and I wasn't trying to hurt the car.
But you did hurt the car. As between you, who were responsible for the final act of trashing the car, and the plaintiff over here, who just went to work and parked her car, who should pay? Hama? Between you, who was directly responsible, because but for the fact that you were behind the wheel of the car at that moment, there wouldn't have been an accident.
The car if the car would have been found, it would have been most of the damage done by Ricky. I shouldn't have to pay for what Ricky did. Now, I did.
Somebody has to pay for it. If most of the damage was done by Ricky, tell me what kind of damage now. Now you're going to tell me what kind of damage Ricky did to the car. Tell me about it.
I don't know what damage Ricky did to the car.
Well, then how can you say Ricky did any damage to the car if you don't know?
Because they said when they took me to trial that damage was done to the car outside of the window being busted. So if damage was done...
It's not just window busted, sir. The entire roof of the car is caved in from him falling over the roof of the car.
But I didn't hit him. He got pushed.
You go to school?
Yes.
Do you go every day?
No.
You've been suspended?
No.
When was the last time you were in school?
About a month ago.
Why?
Because...
Because why?
Because I'm about to get my GED.
Well, what have you been doing for the last month?
Working.
Where?
IGA.
What's IGA?
It's a supermarket.
Perfect. What kind of work are you doing?
I'm a stockman.
Anthony, somebody has to take care of this lady's expenses. Do you understand?
Yes.
You know who that somebody is?
I think you're finna say it's me.
I think you're sufficiently savvy enough to know that the car was stolen, because nobody treats a borrowed car in the way this car was abused for 2 days.
I didn't know it was being broken. All I know...
I looked inside the car, sir. Are you telling me you weren't in the car when they were smoking weed?
Yeah, but
Just a second. Are you telling me that you were or were not in the car when they were smoking dope in the car?
Yes.
You were in the car,
Yes.
right? Were you smoking dope in the car?
Yes.
Were you drinking beer?
We were drinking Long Island iced tea.
Long Island iced tea.
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
It's a very strong alcohol.
Who was drinking?
Me, him, that man right there, Everett, Taylor.
What's your first name?
Corey.
Do you want to talk to me, Corey?
No.
Or do you not?
I don't.
You just came here as window dressing for these proceedings, I assume.
No, I was in the car at the time of the accident.
Yes. But you'd prefer not to talk to me, is that right?
Yes.
Wise judgment. You had additional payouts on your car in the amount of $1,881.85. Did you pay those?
Yes, ma'am. And there are also 10 deferred payments for down payment on another car.
I understand that. He's not going to pay for a new car, madam. He is going to pay, however, for the damage that he did, direct damage that he did to you, which was $1,881.85, which is what you had to pay after the insurance company totaled your car. So, in a way, sir, I'm very glad that you're working. Judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nancy Savage is suing the mother of her grandson, Melissa Balding, for bail money. Nancy says Melissa and her son were arrested on drug charges.
All right, everybody listen very carefully, because this is a long saga to get to a simple question. Miss Savage, I assume this is your son.
Yes, it is.
This is his girlfriend.
Yes, it is.
Ex-girlfriend.
True.
They have a child together.
True.
She doesn't have custody of the child. He doesn't have custody of the child. One of your other children has custody of the child, because both of these two people were, in somebody's opinion, not capable of taking care of this child. According to your complaint, some time ago, your son was driving your car with her in the car. When did that happen?
About a year ago, a little over a year ago.
Let's have a month.
April 30th, 2004.
He's not your only child, is he?
No.
Perfect. It's a perfect example of don't put all your eggs in one basket. When they got pulled over, there were drugs in the car.
Mm-hmm.
I assume, Miss Savage, that they didn't belong to you.
Right.
So the two of them got hauled into court and your car was impounded. According to you, you bailed out your son and Ms. Balding, and you want your bail money, which was how much?
$750.
You are to pay for the towing fees on the car and the impound fees.
The impound fees.
That she's not going to pay for because the Hulk over here was the one driving your car, right?
Yes.
And you gave him permission to drive your car, I assume. So I would suggest you get the impound and towing fees back from him. By the way, have you paid your mother back for your bail?
Yes, I have. Except for $50 of it.
What about the towing fees?
No, I haven't.
Where were the drugs found?
They were found behind the glove box, stashed.
Whose drugs were they?
They were his drugs.
Had you used drugs that day?
No.
Were you under the influence of drugs that
No.
day? Were you under the influence of alcohol that day?
That was possible.
What?
Yes, ma'am.
What time of the day was this?
Around 12 o'clock in the afternoon because I was laying out at my pool.
What time had you started drinking?
Around 12 o'clock.
He's shaking his head no. I tend to believe him. Were any charges ultimately brought against you?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
That I'm not quite sure about them, but I have this paper right here stating that it was all dropped and dismissed.
Let me see that, please.
I have on the bail slip that I got her what her charges were.
Can I see that, please?
And she has one more charge than my son was, which I believe is being under the influence. She admitted to the police that she had taken somas.
What is that?
It's a muscle relaxer. Not that day, but previous.
Now tell me about the call you received, Miss Savage, from the defendant about the bail.
First of all, one of their friends notified me that their car had been pulled over, so I went to where it was because it was less than a mile from my house. And I asked the officer if I could get my car, and he said no, there were drugs involved, and one of them was under the influence, and so they were going to impound it. So I asked him where my grandchild was, and the officer went over and asked Melissa, and she told him it was at her apartment. So I told him I would take responsibility and go get Brian and have him stay with me.
Who was watching him?
Some of their friends.
Go ahead.
So I went and brought my grandson home, and I was trying to calm him and everything. He was very upset.
How old is he?
2.5.
Go ahead.
I told him that Mommy and Daddy were having car problems, and when their car was fixed that they would come and get him, and he told me that I should take him to where they were. So Melissa started calling. The first call, she was like, you have to get me out of here. I can't stay in here. You need to get me out. I'll do anything. Whatever it is, I'll pay you back. Just get me out. And that was the first of one of many calls. I probably got between 15 and 20 calls that night, and every time she called, she woke my grandson up. And
what about your son?
He called me once.
Did you go and bail him out?
I bailed both of them out.
No. He called you once?
Once.
When did you bail him out?
Steve got released around 2 o'clock that afternoon, and Melissa got released 8:30, 9 o'clock that morning because there was a woman in jail that Melissa had identified for another crime.
Oh, just a second. This incident happened at 12 noon.
No, the incident happened at like 10 o'clock that night that they were pulled over.
Yes. Oh, so she had been drinking from 12 noon until 10 o'clock at night, according to her. Oh, I didn't understand that. Now I understand. Okay, and during that whole time, she called you numerous times.
She called me about 15 to 20 times, and she told me that they wanted to test her for drugs and she wasn't going to give them a urine sample, and that when she had to go to the bathroom that she would have the girls in the waiting cell stand around her so they didn't know that she was urinating.
Step up. What happened to your case?
My case was dropped before hers was.
What kind of drugs were found in the car?
Marijuana, pills, and methamphetamines.
Whose were they?
Hers.
Oh. That's interesting. Not yours.
The marijuana was mine. I admitted to the cop when we were stopped. He asked if there were any drugs in the vehicle, and the marijuana was in my pocket. And I handed that to him, and he found the other drugs when we asked for my license and registration. When she opened the glove box door, he saw a container that everything else was in.
Who are you?
Her mother.
Step up. Why do you think your daughter didn't call you to bail her out?
Because I taught her not to call me and bail any of my children out until they have gone to their first preliminary hearing.
She was in Ohio.
Just a second.
They'll possibly lower the
Just a
bail or
second.
drop the
What's your last name?
Daly.
Miss Daly, how many children do you have that have been arrested?
Oh, this one.
So when you said you've taught all your children not to call you until after they have had their first bail hearing, you were really referring just to her?
No, I raised 4 daughters as a single parent.
Yes.
And I worked in law enforcement for 30 years.
Yes.
And I just informed them that if they got into a situation where they ended up in jail, I would hope this wouldn't happen, but I just wanted to make sure that they knew what to do.
How many years have you spent in law enforcement?
All told, 20.
Between us, we have more than a half a century in law enforcement, Miss Daly. How many children do you have?
4.
Between us, we have 9 children. Did you ever have a conversation and tell your children, if you ever get arrested, make sure you wait until your first bail hearing because your bail will probably be lowered? Do you remember having that conversation when you told them about, you know, don't talk to strangers, don't go near people's vans? You ever remember having that conversation with your 4 children?
Negative.
Me neither. So you want to go through this one more time with me? Because unless you're kooky, because I never heard of a mother, even in law enforcement, sitting her children down and saying, listen, never talk to strangers, be home at midnight, don't give any strangers your phone number, and if you ever get arrested, I want you to wait until your first bail hearing before you call me because your bail may be reduced. Were you happy to get out of jail?
Yes, ma'am.
Pay her the money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $750. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Marcus Watson claims former friend Ryan Brooks vandalized his car after a fight at a party. Ryan is countersuing, claiming Marcus assaulted him.
Mr. Watson, the defendant was your best friend for a long time, according to your complaint and according to his answer. Came a time when there was an argument between the defendant and your sister?
Yes.
Was it some sort of a party?
Yes, it was.
His sister was giving him a hard time because, according to him, he had invited a friend without asking permission. So they were going at it, and you got involved.
Right, yes.
And it got a little physical.
Yes.
And if I'm piecing this together, you put your hands on him.
Well, actually, I pushed him to move him back.
You pushed him. You put your hands on him.
Okay, yes.
And whatever happened next, it is your claim that when he left the house, which he did, he scratched your car.
Yes.
This part of it is easy because Mr. Brooks says he was so angry that you put your hands on him that he did vandalize your car, right?
Yes.
But Mr. Brooks has a counterclaim is that you came looking for him and assaulted him.
That's not true.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because I've read your complaint and I've read his answer.
Okay.
So let's start with what the fight was about, Mr. Brooks.
The fight was about that the person I brought was his best friend. They were into it at a long time ago.
They were what?
They were fighting. They were arguing a long time ago with his best friend, but
Whatever. That's what the fight was about? That you brought somebody that they didn't want?
yes,
And who had that conversation with you?
his the plaintiff's sister.
Is that you?
Yes.
Stand up. What's your last name?
Love.
What was the date of this party?
February 3rd.
Wasn't it your house?
No.
So tell me about the conversation you had with Mr. Brooks.
The conversation I had with Mr. Brooks was he invited people to the house that was actually enemies of whose house I was at. And I stood calm that whole night because I'm there to enjoy my birthday. And in fact, my daughter was also there. So I didn't need any conflict or anything. So I waited. And what actually came about to have the argument between me and him that became physical was an incident happened where one of our friends have misplaced their keys, and he's making statements and gestures to other people that were there that someone was looking attractive or whatever. And actually, whose house we were at, they came into the room where I was at.
Please, this is getting much too complicated, Miss Love. You let things go for the whole night.
Right.
And everything was fine. And then at some point, you approached him.
Correct.
And that's after you had had something to drink.
No.
Are you telling me you were celebrating your birthday and you hadn't had anything to drink? Is that
Yes,
what you're
I am.
You telling
my
me that?
daughter was there, so I didn't have anything to drink.
I'm
Why
not
would I
sure.
drink and my daughter was there? She's an infant.
Who else was there?
My brother.
And who else?
The rest of our friends.
Don't necessarily believe you. So you waited until the evening was dying down And then something bothered you, so you went over to him, and what did you say to him?
I just asked him, why does it seem that you were trying to start a fight the whole night? Because he started fights with other people that were in the house, which the police were called to the residence earlier over something else that he started. So I just asked him, you know, why did you feel that you need to start a fight? This is my birthday. I'm here to enjoy my day.
And what did he say to you?
He had an attitude. He was drunk.
No, that's not what I asked you. I said, what did he say?
He really had nothing to respond to me.
So he didn't answer you?
No.
And what did you do?
Oh, well, I saw that it was going to become an argument, so
Well,
I just walked off.
How could it become an argument
Because
if he's not
it
responding?
was a lot of gestures going on. It was hand
Show me the
movements.
gestures. Show me the gestures.
Okay, I walked up to him and I said, why does it seem like you're trying to start a fight with everyone in this house? He was like, well,
so
at that point, when you're doing that and you're rolling your eyes, I'm done with the conversation. I'm not going to argue with you.
So you walked away?
Yes, I did.
And then what happened?
I went back in the room where my daughter was to finish putting on her coat, because at this time we were getting ready to go.
You walked out of the room, and?
I went in the room where my daughter was.
And?
I went to put her clothes on. He came behind me.
And?
Doing all of this, like he wanted to start a fight. So I stepped out of the room, because I'm like, no, we're not going to argue.
Go ahead. So
or
he's
get
moving his
heated.
finger like this.
Yes.
Right, and you moved out of the room.
And he's jumping in my face. So I come out the room, and I'm pretty much like, do you really want to start this? Do you really want to make this about a fight? And pretty much he went to swing at me, which he missed, and then he pulled out a knife. So that's when my brother came into the play. That's when he pushed him out the way.
No. Of course not. Of course not. It's not what happened. He went to swing at you?
Right.
Nah, not what happened. What happened?
She was right about the gestures and whatnot. I was drunk, but she came at me like she wanted to hit me. But instead of me hitting her, she kind of swung at me but missed me. And I was going to swing back, but the plaintiff and his two best friends, they jumped on me from the side. I'm all on the ground. I pulled out my knife for protection. They come at me again and start swinging at me, so I dropped my knife. And they told me to leave, and I left the apartment.
And nobody was hurt?
I was hurt.
She wasn't hurt?
No.
He wasn't hurt?
No.
And you went outside, and what did you do to their car?
I scratched his car.
Do you have an estimate for the scratching on your car?
Yep, they're right here.
Like, take a look at it. You scratched it with a knife?
Glass.
With glass. Okay. So now you're outside. You vandalized his car. Go.
All right, so after he vandalized my car.
And you saw him do that?
Yes, I looked out the window because since we were still friends, I looked out the window because he was waiting on the ride to pick him up. So I'm putting on my clothes or whatever. I want to approach him. By this time I got my clothes on, ready to leave the house. He was gone. On my way home to drive home, I had to circle around. I saw him. He was in front of, I'm not sure the name of the restaurant. I pulled over, and he was still drunk.
Who were you with?
My sister.
You were with your sister and the baby that she's trying to protect.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I get out the car. So I see he has a beer bottle in his hand.
Why don't you get back into the car?
Because I want this all to him about my truck.
Why? If you know he's drunk, and if you just saw him commit a crime, why in the world would you stop your car with your sister and the baby in the car instead of just taking her home, calling the police, say, I just saw him vandalize my truck?
Because I didn't want to involve the police because he was my friend.
Then why didn't you let it go until the next day?
I could
when
have,
he was
but
sober.
It was on my chest, and I wanted
because
to tell
you
him.
wanted to get it off your chest.
I wanted to talk to him.
Because you wanted to get it off your chest. You wanted to get it off your chest with somebody who you know is drunk, who had already left the arena.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was in harm's way anymore.
Okay.
Except when you stopped the truck and got out. And you saw a beer bottle in his hand. So what did you have in your hand?
After I saw the beer bottle,
What did you have in your hand?
What do you call that? A lug wrench is what I had. But he didn't know I had it at all.
You had a lug wrench in your hand.
No, actually it was in my pocket. Let's make it correct.
Now, you're driving along, you see him in a restaurant.
It was outside at that time.
Outside the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
You stop the truck. When do you see the bottle in his hand?
When I stopped the truck.
When did you get the lug wrench?
After I saw the bottle.
Where did you have to go to get it?
My trunk.
Back or front?
The back.
So you had to get out of your truck, go in the back, get the weapon, and then go out to talk to him. Right?
Yes.
Now tell me what happened, Mr. Brooks.
Actually, I wasn't walking around. I was in the restaurant on the phone with my best friend that was switching phone calls between me and the plaintiff. He called me and let me know that the plaintiff was looking for me. I was sitting in the restaurant waiting for a ride to come and get me because I'm hurt. And the plaintiff comes inside the restaurant while I'm sitting down and hits me in the head. And it wasn't a lung wrench. I think it was a tire crowbar, a tire gauge. And it wasn't small. It's big. I have a picture of it.
I'd like to see it.
It's a lung wrench.
Where did you get this picture from?
At the end of the incident, the police did not want to arrest nobody. They took the whole situation, so they gave that to my best friend.
Do you have a police report?
No.
Do you have a police report?
No.
Did you have any medical treatment?
I went home. My aunt, who was a certified nurse, cleaned me up. And
Did you take any photographs of what you looked
No.
like? Why not?
because I just wanted to go home. I was messed up, and I just wanted to go home, lay down.
So what did you do when you finally confronted him, Mr. Watson?
I came to confront him while he had this beer bottle in his hand. It was outside. We went inside the restaurant. I tried to talk to him. He was swinging the beer bottle at my head. He swung it maybe about 2 or 3 times. The last time he swung it, launched it, and it fell on the ground and shattered. At that point in time, that's when I ran up.
Ran up what?
I ran up on him.
And what'd you do?
I hit him.
Yeah, you hurt him. With a weapon that you secured to do just that.
I didn't want to hurt him. The thing was, I had that for my protection.
No, no, no. Your protection was your car that should have kept running and kept going until you dropped your sister and the baby off. So you take care of your own car, Mr. Watson.
For what?
For what?
Because
I'm awarding him on his assault charge the exact same amount as he would have paid you to fix your car. That's why. He's got a counterclaim for assault. Do you understand?
I understand that, but he vandalized my vehicle.
That's absolutely right, and you assaulted him with a tire iron.
Wait a minute, because he vandalized my car before the fact of that happened.
Oh, absolutely right.
So if
he absolutely did, and you would have absolutely been successful in securing a new paint job on your car, without question, if you hadn't assaulted him because you were angry. She started all of it. She really started all of it. And if you think that I believe that she didn't have anything to drink that night, you're mistaken. She started it because everything was sort of cool. All she had to do was go home. She confronted him.
Okay.
With an attitude, because you and I both know this is your sister. She does have attitude. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
So you take care of your own car, sir, because the exact same amount that I would have awarded you on your complaint, I'm awarding him on his counterclaim. Because you know you had no right to vandalize his car, correct?
Correct.
Goodbye. I leave you both where I found you.
Christine Clark says her former friend, Breon Hawkins, owes for a loan, damage to her home, and a false arrest.
Ms. Clark, the defendant was a friend of yours who you allowed to move into your home, and it is your claim that you made a loan to him to put it as a down payment on a car of $1,000. Things turned sour in the home and you wanted him to leave. You claimed that he damaged your property by breaking down the door and the door frame. And in addition, you claimed that he had you falsely arrested. Mr. Hawkins says that there was no loan. He says that you tried to lock him out of the apartment, which is why he damaged the door. And as far as the false arrest charge is concerned, he says that you and Mr. Hawkins, as well as your boyfriend, were arrested that day. When did he move in with you and why?
He moved in with me in September of 2008. At the time, he was living with his best friend's parents, and he basically told me that he needed to move out of the home and he had nowhere to go.
How did you know him?
I met him through a mutual friend of ours.
How long ago?
In June 2008.
Why would you let him move into your house?
We befriended each other. We started hanging out. He seemed like a really nice guy at the time, a really sincere, sweet guy. And out the kindness of my heart, I allowed him to stay at my home. He slept on my couch.
Odd.
Right.
Now tell me about this $1,000 that you gave him.
In April of 2009, he approached me and asked me if he can borrow $1,000 from me because he needed a car. At the moment, I didn't actually give him the money, but 2 weeks in, I actually ended up giving him money. I have paperwork here that I went to the bank and I withdrew $1,000 out of my account.
Just a second. Tell me why you gave him the money after 2 weeks.
He needed a car. He needed another car. The car that he had was breaking down. He didn't want to pay for it to get service, and he needed to get back and forth to work.
Where was he working?
He was working at St. John Hospital in Santa Monica.
Doing what?
A lift associate for the lift team. So it's not like it's not like I just
What were you doing?
I'm a lift team member. I lift and turn patients.
Still working there?
Yes.
So you needed a car to get back and forth to work?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I have the documents here and saying that I did.
He doesn't deny that you gave him $1,000. He just says there was no expectation of
We
being
had
repaid.
agreement that he promised to pay me back $300 a month for the next 4 months, and the payments were going to start actually on May 17th, the actual day that he came to my home and damaged my home. That was the day that the first payment was supposed to be started. No such payment was received at that moment.
Okay, let's deal with the car.
Okay, where do you want me to start?
You needed a car.
I needed a car, which is true. She did give me the $1,000, but it wasn't for me to pay her back. It was.
Your Honor, that's a lie.
If you interrupt again, and I do this, if you interrupt him again, I'm dismissing your case. Do you understand?
Yes.
I gave you an opportunity to speak. Now it's his turn. Got it?
Yes.
Tell me the circumstances, sir. Tell me what you said to her, what she said to you. That's what I want to hear.
First, I asked, can I borrow $1,000?
Okay, can I, just a second, can I borrow $1,000?
Yes.
Okay.
And she
said?
She was reluctant to give it to me because she's like, I don't think you're going to pay me back. And I said, okay, I'll pay you back. She was like, let's write a contract. She didn't write the contract out. So then 2 weeks passed, and then she offered, like, sex.
No, don't tell me offered like. I want you to tell me what she said, Mr. Hawkins.
Basically, I give you the $1,000 and we continue to have sex with each other.
Okay.
And I did it. I had sex with her before, so I don't see what it'd be a difference to not have sex and do it this time. I haven't been having sex with her since December. This is now April, and like she had tried to come on to me, and I like reject her.
Are you asking me?
No, I'm just saying like, I reject her.
You rejected, you stayed on the couch?
Yes.
You owe her $1,000, Mr. Hawkins. Very good. All right, quiet.
Excuse me?
That's what you said. Can I borrow $1,000? And she said, I'm reluctant. You said, I'll pay you back. And you said, I'm reluctant. And then 2 weeks later, she gave you the money. Now, let's hear what happened on May 17th.
Okay, on May 17th, I approached him for the first payment of the money. He basically got on my face and told me that he wasn't going to give me anything. He didn't owe me any type of money. I was on the phone at the time.
You want to lose? Fast?
I was on the phone at the time with another friend of mine, and a friend of mine heard the commotion going on.
Don't tell me what the friend heard.
I went to pick up the friend because at this point I was afraid for my life. I picked up the friend, and we came back to my apartment. I sat outside, and I called the police. I have phone records here that I showed that I called
for.
Because he was threatening me at that point, the reason why I left.
Just a second. You left.
I left.
He was threatening you. Tell me what he was saying to you.
That he runs this ish, and he was gonna hit me, and if he can't, by law, he lives there now. I can't do anything to get him out.
That's
He's not going anywhere. He was gonna hit me and vandalize my car.
No, I don't believe he said that.
Oh, he did.
No, I don't believe he said that. I believe that he said he's not moving anywhere because he lives there now. And then you left. You left and you came back with a friend.
Right, and I said,
what did you say when you came back with a friend?
Nothing. We sat outside the car, and I called the police at that point. I sat outside, and I called the police because I needed him out of my apartment at that point because he threatened to hit me. That's the reason I left.
Let me explain something to you. I don't believe that. I don't believe that he threatened to hit you. But you called the police, and you tried to get him out of the apartment. Just answer my question.
Right, yes.
Police came, and they must have told you that...
He fled the scene.
Just a second. Did the police tell you that he was a tenant in your apartment?
Yes.
And that you couldn't get him out?
Right.
So what did you do?
I went inside. Actually, before I went inside, he came with the young lady that he's brought to court now. After he fled the scene, he came back with the young lady in the car, and I told the police at that point.
Well, he fled. Did you flee the apartment?
I fled to get help.
Fled.
I was afraid for my life at that point.
Then
Judge.
you should have fled
I
and
was
gone
really
to the
afraid.
It's Clark. Don't play. If you fled and were afraid for your life, you go to the police station. You don't go pick up a friend. That's what you do if you are afraid for your life. You don't come back with somebody who's not in authority.
Okay.
Okay? So let's not play with each other. There are things that I believe, and there are things that I don't believe.
Okay.
Right? Because it's based on common sense and my years on this earth. Now, he left, and then he came back with this young lady.
Yes.
And what happened?
At that point, when I was still talking to police, I told the police that he came back with the young lady. They did nothing about it.
Right, because they said he's allowed to be there, because he's a tenant.
They didn't say that.
Well,
they
but that's what I'm telling you, and that's what you knew from before. Go ahead.
So at 4 o'clock in the morning, she started playing on my phone. She called me.
Just a second. Was he still in the apartment?
No, he left altogether.
He left. They both then left?
They both left, correct.
Okay, and then what did you do?
I went inside, and at that point I started watching TV. I finally fell asleep around 3:30 or 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, they started playing on my phone. I turned my phone off.
Just a second. Did you lock the door?
I locked the door.
Did you double bolt it from inside?
I locked the top locks.
So that means that he could not get in?
He can get in. He had a key.
No.
He has the key. He had the key to the apartment. He stayed there. He has a key.
Go ahead.
I only had a key to the bar door. I didn't have a key to the wooden door. So that's how she locked me out.
Okay, that's what I assumed.
Okay.
So you locked him out. Hey, Miss Clark, don't play with me. So you locked him out.
I locked the door.
You
Judge,
locked him out.
I was afraid for my life. He threatened me.
Listen, Miss Clark, just answer my questions, madam. You locked him out. The police had already told you that you had no right to lock him out, but you locked him out and he broke the door down. Is that what happened?
Yes. He came
Is that what?
Yes.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
He can do that.
At 5 o'clock in the morning, he kicked in the door with this young lady here at 5 in the morning. Why is he kicking the door in at 5 in the morning?
Listen to me.
At that point, I was very afraid for my life, Judge.
Well, I don't care whether you were afraid
for my life.
Clark, hey, I don't care whether you were afraid for your life. You locked the door. They tried to call you. You turned your phone off.
No,
and
that's not the reason she was calling me.
Miss Clark, listen to me carefully. He has the right to do that. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. You got your $1,000, but you had no right to do what you did. The police already told you you had no right to keep him out, so you took the law into your own hands and you locked him out. And he has the right to go into his place of abode, which is where he was living with you for a long time. And he broke down the door because you had no right to lock him out.
I understand that, Judge, but at the same time, it doesn't take him to come to my home at 5 in the morning. I have small children living with me. Why is he coming to my home at 5 in the morning, kicking in my door?
Listen to me.
I'm afraid for my life at that point.
Listen
and he's
to me.
coming with someone
You're trying
to
to talk over me. That's not going to happen. I tried to explain it to you. The police tried to explain it to you. You didn't like their answer, and you don't like mine.
Judge, I have pictures of the damages that he done to my apartment here.
That's your problem.
When he kicked in the door, he damaged my coffee room table. He broke the table.
Then you shouldn't have locked the door. The next day, you go to court and you try to have him evicted for whatever reason.
I actually got a restraining order because I was falsely arrested.
That's what
I was falsely arrested, and I have my witness here to attest to that. When I called the police, they came back out and he claimed that I hit him and he put me in jail. So he falsely arrested me on battery charges, and that's a lie because I have paperwork here also saying that no charges were filed against me. So in the midst of me being nice and helping him out, I get suckered in the end. I lose all this money in the end because I tried to help this gentleman out here.
I want to tell you something. You have children who live with you?
Yes, I do.
You don't bring somebody into your house that you've known 3 months.
I know. I learned my lesson now.
Well, now you learn your lesson better. Because if there wasn't some bizarre reason for bringing him into your house after 3 months to expose him to your 2 children, bizarre reason that I don't even want to get into right now. You don't do that if you're a responsible adult and a responsible parent.
Judge, I go to work every day.
Miss Clark, you made a mistake.
Yes, you're right. I made a mistake.
Acknowledge your mistake.
I did.
And you also, if you're a hardworking lady and have 2 children that you're supporting, you don't lend somebody who's a couch sleeper $1,000 of your hard-earned money.
I learned my lesson.
Well, now you're going to learn a better lesson. You get your money back, but the rest of it is your problem. You had no right to lock him out of the place where he had been living for half a year. You owe her the $1,000 for the car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Billy Tyler says his daughter, Tiffany Cantrell, had him falsely arrested for stealing her car.
Mr. Tyler, the defendant is your daughter, and it is your claim that she had you falsely arrested for stealing her car. Your daughter says that you did exercise control over that car without her permission. She had every right to notify the police that you had, in fact, taken the car without permission. So let me start with you, Miss Cantrell. I understand that you are married.
Yes, ma'am.
Your husband is in the armed services.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is he currently located?
He's in Afghanistan.
And how long has he been there?
He's been deployed since October.
This car was originally purchased for him.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how it came about that your father got the car in his possession.
The car was on my grandmother's property, and he took it because he was angry that my mom had left him.
Where did you get the car from, Mr. Tyler?
Judge, I originally bought the car in Cleveland, Alabama at a car auction.
What do you mean you bought the car?
I was there to buy some cars, and my ex-wife had called her, and she came over to the auction. And she seen the car, and she said, I'd like to have this for Kevin, her husband.
Who paid for the car?
She did.
So that she bought the car.
You
didn't pay for the car.
No, she
wrote a check.
You said,
I bought the car
Well,
An auction.
I
You
meant,
didn't-
Judge, that I was there to buy the car, and she wanted it, so I let her have it. That's how.
You were at an auction to buy several cars. Your daughter
Yes.
came with you. She saw a car that she wanted. She wrote out the check for it, so she bought the car.
Right.
Don't play
Right.
with me, Mr. Tyler.
Okay, I'm not, Judge.
I guarantee you,
Okay.
it's not going to happen. Okay, so your daughter bought a car, and according to her, she parked it at her grandmother's house.
No, Judge.
Where was it?
It was in my yard.
So it was in the yard of the house where you were living.
Uh-huh.
Who were you living there with?
My ex-wife.
Anybody else?
My cousin.
What's the address of this house?
77, Highway 75.
And is that where the car was taken from?
No, ma'am.
Where was it taken from?
71, Highway 75.
That's where your grandmother lives?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you live next door to your mother-in-law?
That's my mother, Judge.
Your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Was the car parked at her house at any time?
No, Judge.
Okay. How did it come about that you took control over this car?
When the car was bought, it was to be brought to my house to fix for Kevin. And at the time, Judge, they were going to pay for it to be fixed. And Kevin had gotten hurt and come home. And Kevin asked me when he was home if I would keep the car at my house until he came back and fix what it needed. And when I get home, I'll pay you for it.
Okay.
So we had a windshield put in it. When you walk out my back door, it was sitting right there with a car cover on it. Then, Judge, when my ex-wife left...
Okay, so you separated.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
It's a long story behind it.
Let's put it simply. Ultimately wanted the car.
To give to her mom, because I wouldn't let her mom
Just a
have
second.
one.
In whose name was the car titled?
Mine.
Yours?
And my husband's.
So she said, I want the car. I'm going to give it to Mama.
Yes.
So what did you do?
I had told her prior to this that me and Sammy was going to fix the car. He told me, he said, if you'll pay for the parts, I'll do the labor, and when Kevin comes home, we'll give it to him. And, Judge, that's what I had in mind doing.
I don't care what you had in mind,
and
sir. I don't care what you had in mind. I got the gist of it. You and her mother separated, and she said, I want the car to give to Mama.
Right.
I assume that's because her mother didn't have a car.
Right. And
Okay, and you said no.
And not unless you pay me.
Okay, so now you want to be paid before Kevin came back from Afghanistan.
Well, if she was going to take it. Okay.
You had made an arrangement with Kevin that he would pay you for the parts when he came back from Afghanistan.
Yes, ma'am.
That was your contract.
Yes, ma'am.
So now you're changing the contract because now you want to get paid right away.
Well, the car was to stay there, Judge, till he came home.
No, it can go anywhere that the owner says it can go.
But he told me to keep it there until
But then you spoke to him again and he said to give it to her.
No, he called on the phone, Judge.
I said you spoke to him again and he said to give it to my wife.
If she pays.
No.
Yeah.
He said give it to my wife.
If she pays the labor to Sammy, not the parts, but just the labor.
Labor to Sammy has nothing to do with you.
Right.
What did you do with the car?
Well, a couple of days there, the car winded up. You could tell where it had tried to be broken into. Not for sure who done it. We took it and put it in storage.
Not we, you.
Well, me and my cousin. He had done the labor on it, Judge, and I'd paid for the parts.
Did you tell her where it was?
Yes, I told her I'd put it in storage, and when she paid us, she could get it. There was a labor lien against it. And she wanted proof of it, Judge, so I sent her proof of it.
Let me see what you mailed her.
And may I speak, Judge?
No, now it's her turn.
Okay.
Go ahead.
When they sent this letter, they did send the letter, but it was not sent until after the investigator had called and spoke with him about my car.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I have the report. And
Can I see the report,
Yes,
please? That's interesting, because you send her this ridiculous note that says, I have in my possession a Pontiac Firebird, and there is a $10 storage fee on it. And then you change the amount of repair bill. It looks like you put first it was $1,300, then it was $700. I don't know. Can't figure this out. And you say if you don't respond within 90 days, the car will be sold at public auction. Now this, I don't know what date this is, but she signed for it on May 23rd, because she allegedly sent this by certified mail. But she filed this incident report on the 16th of May, which is before you sent this letter to her. So the police contacted you. Put your hand down. Police contacted you and said, where's the car?
Probably.
Or they contacted Sammy.
come out and contacted me.
Oh, there you go. And then you sent her this letter.
Judge, the officer, the day he came out, he wanted a copy of that letter. The day the officer come out and talked.
It's absolutely impossible, sir, because you dated this letter May 17th. That was the next day after the officer took this complaint.
Judge, he didn't come out the day he took the complaint.
I don't care whether he came out and took the complaint on that day or not. It doesn't make any difference, sir.
Okay.
What I'm telling you is, I got the whole story. You know what the whole story is? You were mad at your ex-wife.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't want her to have a car. Don't shake your head no to me. You were angry. You didn't want her to have a car. And you had worked on this car. And when your daughter said, I'm going to give this car to Mama to use because you're not giving her a car, you said, over my dead body. Because I was going to give it to Kevin, but I won't give it to the woman who I've lived with for the last, I don't know, how many years? 30 years?
24, Judge.
24, and raised a bunch of children with how many children?
4.
4 children. I'm not going to give it to her because I don't like her. I like this stranger, now husband of my child, and I'd give him for nothing, but I'm not giving it to my ex-wife because who the hell does she think she is throwing me out?
You're right.
Well, that's too damn bad. You had no right. That's too bad, Mr. Tyler. Mr. Tyler.
She took it all and gave it to a man one time. She ain't going to do it again.
Listen to me, Mr. Tyler. I don't know the reason after 24 years and raising 4 children with somebody that they say, I don't want to live with him anymore. I'm not going back over that. I don't know whether you were a good husband, whether you were not a good husband, whether you were a kind person to her, whether she was a kind person to you. I have no idea.
She's the one who left.
She may have had good reason. Let me tell you something about most women. And how old is your wife?
42.
Most women, if they have a loving mate, someone who cherishes them and cares for them,
Some of them appreciate it.
I'm speaking, and treat them well, they don't say, I'd rather go it alone. See, sometimes men do, because, you know, men will turn around and they'll say, well, I can find somebody who's 20. What do I need? This 42-year-old who's raised my 4 children. Now, your wife must not be a bad person, because her daughter says, I'm going to let you use this car if Daddy won't give you a car. So evidently, uncross your hands. Your wife may have taken your attitude for 24 years. I don't. What I'm telling you is you had no right to take that car and put it in a place where she couldn't find it. And you didn't do it because you put a mechanic's lien on it. You did it because you were PO'd at your wife. And that you had no right to do. You had no right to exercise dominion and control over a car that did not belong to you. Now, your daughter, as far as I'm concerned, should not have gone to the police, should have tried to settle this matter civilly. But then again, you took your mother's side in this altercation. Yeah, you felt badly for her.
Somewhat, yes, ma'am.
You felt badly for her. So, in a family situation, should she have gone to the police? Probably not. Did she have a legal right to go to the police because you exercised dominion and control over her car? Absolutely. Don't say no. She did. And what they found when they found you not guilty wasn't because you weren't guilty of exercising control over the car, sir. What they said was, this is really a family matter, and we're not going to find you guilty of a criminal act because what you were really doing was acting vindictive. And we're not going to get involved with that. So, sir, she had the legal right, put your hand down, she had a legal right to call the police to make a police report that she no longer had a car that was titled in her name and that you had.
Even though she had brought the car down there and told me to fix it.
Listen to me, sir. You can't trip over your own words. What you said to me 10 minutes ago was, it was your intention to fix the car. First, you said you were going to make a gift to Kevin when he came back from Afghanistan. Then you changed that and you said, well, I spoke to him and he said to me the parts when he came back from Afghanistan. She never told you she would pay you for anything, unless you're going to change your story again.
Judge,
right. You have no case, Mr. Tyler. Grow up. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Salminio Moten is suing his ex-fiancée, Andrea Umersky, for the return of a laptop. Andrea claims Salminio gave her the computer before he was deployed to Iraq.
Mr. Moten, it is your claim that the defendant, who is your former girlfriend, has a computer that belongs to you. You want it back.
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant says that you gave her the computer a long time ago. It was a gift. It was a second computer that you had. You had bought yourself a new one. She has a counterclaim for a whole bunch of nonsense. How old is this computer, Mr. Moten?
3 years old, Your Honor.
When did you buy yourself a new computer, Mr. Moten?
2008, Your Honor.
Why did you buy yourself a new computer?
Because I was getting deployed to Iraq, and The old computer, it was old and it was slower than my new computer, so I felt I needed more storage.
And you were taking the new computer to Iraq?
Yes, for business matters.
So you bought yourself a new one, and at that time you were involved with the defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
She was your girlfriend?
She was my girlfriend at that point, Your Honor.
Tell me about when he gave you the computer.
When he came back home on leave, we were scheduled to be married, and he gave me the computer when he left back.
What did he say?
He didn't really say much. I mean, he just left it for me because he had a new computer. He didn't need it anymore.
What did he say to you?
There was no specific that, I mean, I recall that he said he just gave me the computer. We jointly lived together. I mean, I have a text message stating that I can have the computer after we broke up.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
If the screen goes blank, you can just press the OK button.
Bird is the button presser.
That would be his number listed below, his cell phone number.
It's cool to keep the laptop. Just give me my mail and my clothes. Did you send that to her?
I think so, Your Honor. Yes, I did.
So?
Well, at that point in time, I felt like at that point in time I had no way of getting my laptop. I had to get...
Just a second. You went to Iraq, you came back, you broke up. The reasons for it are irrelevant to me. And when you came back, you asked her for the computer.
Yes, Your Honor.
And she said to you, you gave it to me.
No, she said, for me to give you my computer, you have to give me $400 for her ring.
And you said what?
I said, I don't owe you for the ring because I...
Fine. You said, I don't owe you for the ring. That's part of a counterclaim. I don't have to hear that just yet. But at some point, she had your mail and your clothes.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you said to her, it's okay, keep the laptop, which she's now had in her possession for over a year, correct?
Yes.
Keep the laptop, just give me my mail and my clothes. That's what you wrote. Did you get your mail?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you get your clothes?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Well, then she keeps the computer.
Well,
you
no,
made a bargain with her. You said, give me my mail, give me my clothes, you keep the laptop. You got your mail, you got your clothes, she keeps the laptop.
She was asking to keep the laptop because she needed internet access for her and her kids. I was being generous by letting her keep it, but...
Well, you were being generous by letting her keep it. That's what you said. Mr. Moten, were you out of the country serving your country at war?
Yes, Your Honor.
You saw lots of them?
Yes, I did.
You don't have to go back anymore, do you?
No, not at this point, Your Honor.
Great. And you're home safe and sound, right?
Yes.
And we're talking about a computer that was so old and slow that you got rid of it, that you bought yourself a new one.
Yes.
Right?
I did, Your Honor.
Just a second. Old, slow, you bought yourself a new one. You know how many old computers I have in my house? My husband says they're too slow. I said, where are you going? Then it has to be faster. But you got yourself a faster one, right?
Yes, I did.
Right? And you came home safe and sound. What are you bothering with minutiae for? What are you bothering with nonsense for, Mr. Moten? Especially when you said to giving my mail and my clothes and keep the laptop.
Well, I had important files on my laptop that I really wanted.
And you did without them for almost 2 years now, right?
Yes.
You'll do it without them for another 20.
I asked her to put it on a hard drive.
And did she?
No, she wanted to keep the whole laptop.
Just a second. Did he ask you to store some stuff for him?
No.
No, of course not. He's making it up as he's going along. Forget it, Mr. Moten. You got home safe and sound. You gave her the computer probably before you left because you got yourself a new one. That's what boyfriends do for their girlfriends. They say, here, let the kids use this one. Let the kids play games on this one because I got one that's faster, that's got more memory, that's got this. And then when you broke up, now you want your computer back. Well, and she's not going to give it to you. She's not going to give it to you because you gave it to her. Not once, probably, but twice. Now let's get to your nonsense counterclaim.
Okay. Your Honor, when he asked me to marry him, he agreed that I would go purchase the rings on my credit card, and when he came back 2 months later, he would pay the full bill. We later did break up, and we agreed that because he had one ring and I had the other ring, that he would pay half, and I also have an email saying that I will pay half. I don't have a problem with that, and here's the bill. But it's from a month ago, so there's still late payment charges on there. I haven't paid it. I have 3 children. I have more important bills to pay than a credit card bill.
Did you tell her to go buy 2 rings?
No, Your Honor. She bought the rings on her own.
It says, I will pay my half. I don't have a problem with that. Hope everything goes well with your new relationship. I wish you all the best. Did you send this to her?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Just a minute. You have 1 ring, correct?
Yes, I do.
Well, who's supposed to pay for that ring?
Well, she actually gave it to me as a gift, and she was asking me to pay for it.
Let me see it.
So the ring?
Yeah.
I didn't bring it, Your Honor. I forgot it.
Mr. Moten, you're really annoying me. I mean, you did get a copy of her counterclaim, did you not, about the ring?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Well, how could you not bring it if I wanted to look at it? How much was the ring that he has in his possession?
Here's the original bill.
That's what I want to see.
Okay. And then there's the interest and stuff incurred because he didn't pay the original bill, which we agreed that we would each split half of the bill last month.
All right. How much was his ring?
It was the less expensive one on there.
So his ring was $200?
I believe so.
You get to keep the computer, madam. And he owes you $200 for his ring. That's all.
As are excused, you may step out.
Jenny Rose says ex-roommate Sheena Mashoud owes for the return of rent and a security deposit. Jenny also claims Sheena slandered her via the internet.
Miss Rose, you rented a room from the defendant, and according to your complaint, you were forced to move out early.
Yes.
You want prorated rent.
Yes.
You certainly want your security deposit back. And you want compensation for what you say were very nasty things that the defendant posted about you on the internet.
That's correct.
The defendant says that you chose to move out. You don't get compensated for choosing to leave before the end of the 30 days. That your cat did some damage to the rug, so you don't get your security back. And she acknowledges she wrote nasty things about you on the internet, but she said everything she wrote about you was the truth, and the truth is a perfect defense.
True.
When did you move into this room, Ms. Rose?
On May 1st, on April 22nd, I answered an ad.
Do you recall what it said?
It said that I was going to be a roommate, that it was $400 for the rent, that she had 3 cats, and 1 more would be great. And
no, just a second. That's not what the ad said.
Yes, it did. It said she had 3 cats and 1 more would be great.
Oh, that's what the ad said?
Yes.
It must be a very long ad. Where was it?
Craigslist.com.
.org. .org. Correction. Tell me what happened when you went and looked in the house.
It was 11 o'clock at night. She said that it was dirty, but she would clean it, and that the hot water in the sink was broken, the pipe, but she would fix it before I moved in, and the toilet that I was renting out with the bathroom was broken as well, but that would be fixed as well.
How many rooms did you look at?
3 different rooms, and this is the one that I chose.
This is the one that had a broken sink, a broken toilet, and was filthy. Is the one that you chose, Miss Rose?
Actually, it was the rent. It was cheaper than normal. Others were asking for $650, so I figured I was only going to be here till the summer. It should not be an issue.
Was the toilet fixed?
No, the toilet was never fixed, and neither was the hot water, which I had to eat out because I couldn't wash dishes. There were maggots in the sink. There were roaches, flies.
Who else lived in the house?
It was supposed to be just myself and Sheena, and she brought her crackhead mother in, who has no teeth and has tattoos everywhere, who she failed to mention was an ex-convict who had been in jail for 12 years for a violent crime. Not only that, but...
Just a second. When you moved in May 1st, was her mother there?
No, her mother was not there.
When did her mother move in?
Her mother started coming by in the middle of May and started hanging out, bringing her other crackhead friends who had no teeth.
I'm a dentist's daughter. Let's not talk about the teeth. Let's talk about the drugs.
Okay.
What makes you think that she was using crack?
Because I came home the night before I moved out, and her friend were smoking crack in the living room.
That would give me a clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your mother incarcerated for, Miss Mashoud?
I believe it was theft, and she violated her parole several times.
She violated her parole because of her drug use?
No, it had to do with the fact that she wasn't seeing her probation officer like she was supposed to when she was released early.
Listen, if you're released early and you want to stay out of jail, unless you're involved with drugs, you usually see your probation officer.
Well, actually, the problem was that she moved back to Colorado without asking her probation officer, and she stayed out there for 3 years.
Well, that would be a problem.
Yes, obviously, as the rule was that she was supposed to keep in contact.
How long was she incarcerated?
I'm not sure. I never lived with my mom as a child, so.
When was she released from prison?
At least 5 years ago.
How come she started to come to your house?
Because I previously, before she had ever moved in, had paid my mom to come to my house to clean my apartment because I work 18-hour days. I have 2 different jobs. I work a bar job at night, and during the day I'm a special effects makeup artist. I work very hard, and I don't have time to spend, even if it is 4 hours that I get to sleep, to spend cleaning up my apartment.
You mean there's nobody else that could clean your apartment other than your mother?
Well, I don't trust anybody else to come into my apartment because I have many things that are worth a lot of money.
So what you're telling me is you trust your mother?
Yes, I do.
The mother who she says, and I believe her,
yes,
invited somebody into your home and they were smoking dope in your house.
Nobody else other than my mom was invited into my home.
Well, she did. Bring somebody else into your home.
I had never seen the person.
Well, I'm telling you, she did. She did, so your judgment wasn't very good. In choosing your mother, listen to me, your judgment wasn't very good in choosing your mother to clean your house.
I believe my judgment was just fine. Aside from the fact that she had been incarcerated before, it doesn't mean that she would do anything like that again.
Well, but she brought somebody, listen to me, she brought
Mm-hmm.
somebody into your house and they were smoking dope in your house.
I'm glad you believe her, but I don't know that that's true. I know that my mom has not been on drugs for many years. I know that she does have permanent psychosis because of doing drugs for many years, and that is true. But she's not a current drug user, otherwise I wouldn't bring her into my house because I wouldn't trust her around my stuff personally.
Ms. Michaud, that's your problem. You want to
Yes,
have
it is.
this unabiding faith in your mother, with whom you say you never resided when you were growing up, who was incarcerated most of that time. That's up to you. I absolutely, 100% believe her when she says that she came home the day before she moved out and your mother was in the house smoking dope, which, as far as I'm concerned, gives her the right to leave in the middle of the month.
Well,
I'm speaking. What day of the month did you move out?
It was the 18th.
So you want prorated rent for the 12 days that you weren't there?
That's correct.
Okay, and how much does that come to?
$146.50.
My mother had not moved in at that point. She was a guest of mine.
Excuse me?
Shh. Listen to me. She doesn't. Listen to me very carefully, Miss Michaud.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't. Listen, try to listen. I know you've got a lot going on in your hair, in your face, everything else, but try to pay attention. She doesn't have to live in your house. You have invited a guest into your home, your mother, who was involved in behavior that I believe could have endangered someone else who was living in the house. If the police had come to your house and found your mother and someone else in possession of crack cocaine in your house, everyone in the house would have been involved in that drug sweep. So she was very smart to move out. And since you have acknowledged that you invited your mother into the house for the purposes of cleaning, you can't say she had no right to move. She did have a right to move. And since you invited this problem into your house, you have to compensate her for the 12 days in rent that she did not have use and enjoyment of her room.
Well,
that's my ruling. You may not like it. That's why you go to
her boyfriend.
That's
is a
why
speed addict,
I'm speaking.
and he's in
listen,
my and he's
listen
staying
to
in
me.
my house.
Listen to me very
For
carefully.
the whole time she was there.
Listen to me very carefully, madam. I don't know where else you work or what else you do to enhance your senses, but in my courtroom, I speak, I listen.
Obviously, you don't listen very well.
You know, I'm listening. You're not hearing what I'm saying because you don't like the answer. How much is your security?
$200. I have a copy of the sublease as well.
Can I see it, please?
And I have a copy of the letter she told me to vacate immediately.
Okay.
She wanted me to pay for her mother's rent for the next month.
Listen. Did you write this letter? There will be a $500 rent increase for your bedroom and private bathroom starting July 1st. Did you write this?
Yes, that's what
All right, good.
Hutchinson told me to do.
$146.50 and $200 for your security deposit. Do you have any pictures of the ruined rug that was allegedly caused by her cats?
No, but I
Good. Now I would like to see what was written on the internet.
This is a networking site that my coworkers, my supervisors and boss, as well as my family and friends read. I was contacted by one of my coworkers.
Well, the one thing I do know for sure, Miss Michaud, is that you have a filthy mouth.
Thank you.
And I assume that you work in this town?
Yes, I do.
Good. I certainly hope that enough people, since we do have a reasonable audience in this town, watch this and know that I personally am offended that a woman would use the kind of vulgarities that you do written. I don't think, quite frankly, Miss Rose, that any fair-minded, reasonable person would accept anything that you wrote here as true.
Oh, of course not.
Because she clearly is a demented, sick girl. I don't know how she finds work in this town, but clearly there are a lot of demented, sick people who want demented, sick employees. That's the problem here sometimes. I can't judge that. Clearly, this is miserable. I'm not going to ask her how she's going to establish to my satisfaction that you committed the kinds of sex acts that she attributes to you, because certainly you don't want that, and I wouldn't, because it's really unseemly. Suffice, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
Am I going to speak at all this?
Go speak outside. Somebody who wants to hear you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $346.50. Thank you.
Toodles.
Gina Guy says ex-boyfriend Richard Archer owes for a loan to have emergency dental work done. Richard says Gina gave him the money.
Miss Guy, Mr. Archer was a boyfriend of yours, and you claimed that you made a loan to him for some dental work. He did not repay the loan, and in addition, when you tried to collect after you had terminated the relationship, he began harassing you. He says that the money that you gave him for his dental work was a gift. There was never any discussion of him repaying the money for the dental work, and that you are actually harassing him. Mr. Archer, when did you and Miss Guy start a relationship?
We started a relationship towards late during the summer, probably around August.
September 12th, Your Honor.
Is that what it was, September 12th?
Of what?
September 12th of 2008.
Did you at any time during that relationship live together?
No.
When was it, Mr. Archer, that you found yourself in need of dental work?
Actually, we were in the pool one day, Your Honor.
In the pool?
Yeah, in her swimming pool. And she brought up that she was going to go in and have some dental work done and get some cleaning done. And she was scheduling appointments for her daughter. And I said, well, yeah, that's something I got to get done when I have the money, when I'm financially capable of having it done. And she says, well, I really got a good dental plan down the street here. Why don't we get you in? And I said, well, I don't have the money to do this right now. So, right now wouldn't be a good time. A few weeks went by. She kept encouraging me to go in there. So finally I went in there.
What did you go in for?
Basically just x-rays and a cleaning. And it turned out that I needed a root canal and some fillings as well.
Did you have any pain, Mr. Archer?
No, I didn't have any pain at the time.
How did you know that you had problems that required a root canal?
I didn't know that I needed a root canal until they started getting in there and digging in my mouth. So they seen that on the x-rays, they seen that I needed a root canal. And then that's when it was brought to our attention, the total amount, which was $1,717.
So first the dentist took the x-rays.
Correct.
And I should tell you, Mr. Archer, so that you don't feel as if you've been coerced or fooled.
Okay.
Both my father and my brother are dentists.
Okay.
So first they took x-rays.
Okay, yes.
And after the x-rays were taken, you had a consultation?
I had a consultation.
With whom?
With the dentist.
Who was present during the consultation?
Present in the consultation was me and the dentist and the RDA, and then they had notified her.
Don't tell me who they notified.
Okay.
All I asked you was who was present during the consultation.
Just the dentist and the RDA.
They told you that the bill was $1,717.
Correct. That's the work we were looking at.
And what was the next thing that you did?
The next thing I did was just said stop right there, and they notified her. That
Don't tell me what they notified. That's hearsay.
I said stop right there, Your Honor.
And did you leave?
No, I didn't. I stayed in the chair. And
what did you stay in the chair for?
I stayed in the chair so they could contact her and let her know.
Who told them to contact her? It's not an answer.
She did.
She told them to contact her after your x-rays?
Doesn't look like I'm getting any water.
Is that what you think? Yeah, well, you usually
No.
don't need water right away.
No, just my mouth is dry.
Would you get Mr. Archer? Maybe there's water in that carafe. He seems not to have any water.
No,
There
Judge Judy, she told me to call her and let her know what the bill was going to be. Okay?
It's all in the wrist.
Thank you.
Thank you. So she told you to call her and let her know what the bill was going to be. Did you call her?
Yes.
You just told me that they called her.
And they called her too as well.
No. When did you call her?
Right there, right after they called her.
Well, why wouldn't you call her?
Well, actually, because I had a bunch of cotton in my mouth at the time.
Well, you had just had a consultation with them.
Well, yeah, they just came in and the cotton was still in my mouth and they were just explaining to me on the computer.
Cotton was still in your mouth from what?
From them blodging things in there. My gums were bleeding.
No, they just took x-rays.
Yeah, because they had the x-ray pieces in my mouth in there and it disrupted some of my gums.
No, they must have been a lousy dentist.
Actually, a really good dentist.
Absolutely not. I never had bleeding gums from taking x-rays.
Okay.
You ever have bleeding gums from taking an x-ray?
No.
Taking x-ray? No. Doesn't happen. Mr. Archer, you are so full of baloney. Now that we've finished Once Upon a Time,
thank you,
and the Three Bears and Goldilocks, how come you got involved with his dental work?
Because he was in the chair and was having the trouble that he had.
What trouble was he having?
Well,
so far I haven't heard any. Listen to me, Miss Guy. So far I haven't heard any trouble. So far I heard that he was in no pain, he had no money, And he went to the dentist. And they did x-rays, and they were going to do a cleaning, and they found that he needed all this dental work, but he was in no pain. So I want you to tell me, is that what happened?
I can't. I can only testify when I came into the scene. He sent me a text message from the chair stating, they've got my mouth open. They said it's an emergency. I have an abscess. That's why he went in, because he was in pain in his mouth.
That's what you said in your complaint.
I did. That's why I'm saying that was what happened.
So he had pain.
Exactly. So
when did he tell you he had pain for the first time?
For the first time when when we were dating. At some point he said, I'm having a lot of pain in my mouth. So he made an appointment to follow through on the pain that he was having in his mouth.
You suggested your dentist?
I suggested my dentist. I had a dentist. My house is across the street from where my girls and I have our own plan. I'm a single mom. I can't put people on my plan. So that's where my girls and I go.
What kind of work do you do, Miss Guy?
I own a fitness ministry, Praise Aerobics.
And what do you do, Mr. Archer?
I'm a master physical trainer.
Do you work in her place? Is that how you met?
At the time, I was helping her, yes.
When was the last time you worked for Miss Guy? It's not an answer, Mr.
2 weeks
Roger.
before December.
He never worked for me, just so I can state that.
Oh,
he was
no,
never an
but I
employee.
did.
Not work for me. He was not a paid employee, no.
That's not true.
Do you get a check from her or cash?
Actually, at the time, I was doing a lot of things for her. And
Like
she
what?
was, well, I was teaching her spine elongation techniques and helping her with her back because she has a spine injury. And I was teaching yoga and stretching classes for her clients as well.
For her clients in her establishment?
Correct.
And you were compensated for that?
No, I didn't ask for anything, okay? She was helping me out with my mouth, and I also did other things as well for her,
Like what?
There was gym equipment inside her facility that needed to be tore down and repositioned and corrected, and there were multiple stations, and I did that.
And are you telling me, sir, you told me once before that you worked for her. Work for her usually involves some financial remuneration.
Okay.
Are you telling me that you were not compensated for what you did?
No, not cash-wise, no.
Okay. Now, how long did you do all this work? Months, weeks?
It was during the relationship.
And how long did that last?
4 months.
When did you go to the dentist?
I probably went to the dentist in the second month of our relationship.
What month did he go to the dentist?
October 2nd, Your Honor.
And you put the money on your credit card when he called you and said he had an abscess? Is that what happened?
Correct.
So, Mr. Archer.
Yes.
What you are asking me to believe is, as an old jurist
Okay.
and a dentist's daughter,
Okay.
that it was sheer serendipity that you went for x-rays
Okay.
and they found an acute abscess that
Yes.
required root canal on the spot and a post and crown. Just a second. I'm
Okay.
just asking.
Okay,
That
I'm sorry.
requires
Go
a
ahead.
yes. It was pure serendipity.
Okay.
Or no, I was in a little bit of pain, and we may have discussed that I was in a little bit of pain.
Okay.
Which one would you like me to believe?
I went to do a checkup to see what was causing the pain.
Ah, there we have it. That makes my job so much easier because it was not the baloney story you gave me before. When we air this segment,
Okay.
Mr. Archer, you're going to have to watch what you told me before.
Okay.
Because, you see, you are a prime example of if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
Okay.
But if you don't tell the truth, you really have to have a good memory, sir, because otherwise I make you look like an idiot. How much does he owe you?
The dental bill's $2,000, but I'm definitely suing for more than that.
I gave her $500
You gave her $500 for what?
on top of the dental bill.
What do you mean you gave her $500 on top of the dental
I
bill?
thought it was a gift.
2 weeks later, I gave her $500 a gift. Yeah, right.
Just a minute. Hold on a second. 2 weeks later, you gave her $500 for what?
The bill was...
Don't look at me. Don't point your finger at me. 2 weeks. I'm looking at your answer.
Okay.
I don't see anything in your answer about $500.
No, but I
so
did. But I did give it to her.
For what?
For the bill, to help her out. Just like I was helping her out around the house as well, with her business.
Like crazy.
So it dropped it to $1,200. And now she's lying about it.
Hey, listen. If you were honest with me to begin with and said to me, look, it was a loan, but I gave her $500. I don't owe her. Uncross your hands. Uncross your hands. I don't owe her $1,700. I gave her $500. Then we would be in business. You have given me 3 distinct stories. One you wrote in your answer. One you told me just a moment ago when I was about to enter a judgment for. But I gave her $500 for what? As a gift? You gave her $500 as a gift? You gave her $500 towards the dental bill because you owed her money for the dental bill. That's
I
why
didn't
you
borrow
gave.
the money from her,
That's
though.
why you gave her money for the dental bill.
But I didn't borrow the money
Just
from
because
her.
I hate liars. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. That's all. Step out.
Cái chi phí khi mà chúng ta du học tại đất nước Ba Lan bằng tiếng Anh thì sẽ hết bao nhiêu tiền? Thì đối với học phí của các trường đại học tại đất nước Ba Lan thì dự biệt tiếng Anh sẽ rơi vào 3.250 cho đến 3.500 trên một năm. Đối với bằng cử nhân thì sẽ rơi vào 3.500 cho đến 5.000 euro trên một năm. Đối với hệ thạc sĩ sẽ rơi vào 3.500 cho đến 6.000 trên một năm. Và đối với bằng tiến sĩ thì sẽ từ 3.500 euro trên một năm. Còn đối với các cái chi phí nhà ở, ký túc xá thì rơi vào khoảng 60 cho đến 150 trên một tháng. Còn đối với tiền thuê nhà ở bên ngoài thì sẽ rơi vào từ 170 cho đến 320 euro trên một tháng. Còn đối với các cái chi phí sinh hoạt tại đất nước Ba Lan thì cái chi phí sinh hoạt trung bình của các bạn sinh viên quốc tế tại đất nước Ba Lan thì bao gồm các cái chi phí như là ăn uống, đi lại, các cái chi phí cá nhân thì sẽ dao động từ 300 cho đến 450 euro trên mỗi tháng. Và cái chi phí dao động sẽ phụ thuộc vào cái quy mô trường học và cái nhu cầu chi tiêu của các bạn sinh viên. Khi mà chúng ta có một cái ước mơ đi du học thì về cái vấn đề đầu tiên mà tất cả các bạn sinh viên quan tâm đó là về cái chi phí và cái môi trường học tập tại đất nước mà chúng ta muốn theo để du học. Vì vậy trước khi muốn đi du học một đất nước nào đó thì chúng ta cần phải tìm hiểu thật kỹ